Hey everyone, this is going to be my Game of Thrones Season 7 Episode 6 preview video. I'm going to talk about everything we can expect. Episode 6 has also been leaked on Reddit. I'll leave the link in the description and you can go check it out. I'll be talking about this post throughout the video, so strong spoiler warning. If you don't want to know anything about Season 7 Episode 6, then this is not the video for you. Just stop watching and exit. Please don't complain that I didn't give you a warning. And also, keep in mind that the predictions may not be 100% accurate. If you're still on board, then let's get started. Episode 5 has a runtime about 60 minutes, but Episode 6 will be a bit longer than usual. The runtime is around 70 minutes, which is the second longest episode in this season. I want to start with Arya Stark first. Some of you might be curious to know what's in the scroll which Arya found in Littlefinger's chamber. But people who've been following my videos already know the content of the scroll. If you don't know, it's a letter which Sansa wrote to Robb Stark asking him to come to King's Landing and swear fealty to Joffrey. If you want to know more about this letter, please go watch my Season 7 Leaked Scenes Part 3 video. The link will be in the description. Littlefinger hopes this letter will create a rift between the Stark sisters, and it works too. Arya knows that Sansa madly loved Joffrey, and she defended him in the Butcher Boys situation, even though it was all Joffrey's fault. Arya kinda hated her for not telling the truth. It was Ned who compromised her. Now, in this scroll, Sansa has written highly about the Lannisters and accuses their father of conspiracy against Joffrey. Arya is already questioning Sansa's loyalty to Jon. This letter will surely stir up her suspicions. She would probably be furious. She confronts Sansa with the letter and asks her to explain. Sansa simply replies, "I did what I had to do to survive." Which is true. It was Cersei who actually forced Sansa to write this letter, and Catelyn Stark knew it.
There was a letter from Sansa.
From the Queen, you mean?
Sansa starts wondering what Arya has been doing the whole time before she arrived in Winterfell. I mean, everyone got surprised when Arya showed up at Winterfell since she was presumed to be dead, and she stunned everyone with her fighting skills when she sparred with Brienne. She has a list of people to kill, and if she hadn't met Hot Pie, she would have been at King's Landing to kill Cersei. These things all intrigue Sansa. She sneaks into Arya's room and finds a bag full of faces and poison. I think she's gonna freak out when she sees all those faces, but she'll understand that her sister is a badass faceless assassin. Meanwhile, Littlefinger plays his game. He keeps telling Sansa that Jon has abandoned the North. He's trying to make her move against Jon and control her so that he can control the North. I don't think Sansa has any inner desire to be the leader of the North, but that doesn't mean she hates ruling. I believe she won't betray Jon. She understands that Littlefinger is trying to use her to fulfill his own personal goals, so she will tell him, enough is enough. Jon is king in the North, and you should respect him. Next, we see Jon landing the team beyond the wall to capture a White. Without a doubt, this mission is going to be the primary focus of this episode. A significant part will be dedicated to the action sequences. I hope that this will be the hard home of Season 7. As the team travels, they have a lot of conversations. This is when Jon offers Longclaw to Jorah, which belongs to his house. Jorah refuses to accept the sword, and says, "No, you keep it. I'm not worthy of carrying it. My father gave it to you for a reason." Obviously, Jorah is still feeling bad for letting his father down and abandoning his house. The team continues to travel based on the vision which the Hound saw in the flames. This is when they come across a reanimated polar bear. The bear attacks Thoros and he fights back, but he is badly injured and suffers a slow death. The team realizes that the White Walkers are near and they try to avoid them, but instead they run into a horde of dead men and a White Walker. Luckily, Jorah didn't accept the sword. Once again, Jon single-handedly takes on the White Walker, while the team fights the horde, and they manage to capture a White. They put him in chains and he can't move, but the army of the dead is too much to handle. Jon and his men have no other choice except to run, and they even get split up. Jon orders Gendry to run back to Eastwatch, and he sends a raven to Dany to come and rescue them. I'm a bit confused here. Sending a raven is not like sending a text message or an email to someone. First, Gendry has to reach Eastwatch, then he has to send the raven, and it will definitely take some time to reach Dragonstone. Then she has to make a decision and leave. By the time she arrives at the East Watch, there is a good chance that Jon and his men may even be killed. I'm not sure, but it certainly looks like a plot hole. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Dany receives the raven. She is nervous that Jon is in danger, and she immediately decides to leave. Tyrion advises her not to. He says, "If you die, everything we've been trying to accomplish will be for nothing." But she hops on her dragon and leaves. Tyrion even chases the dragons, yelling at her to stop, but she doesn't listen to him and leaves. Meanwhile, beyond the wall, the team is running for their lives, and they come together eventually. Now they're stuck in the middle of a frozen lake. Apparently the lake is partially frozen and the team is standing on the largest block of ice, and there are tiny pieces of ice that are floating around, so the army of the dead is unable to reach them. The Night King arrives and he completely freezes the lake using his magic. Now the route is clear for them. Team Jon has no other option except to fight. The army of the dead is too overwhelming to handle, and things are not looking good for them. This is when Dany and her dragons show up. She provides air support and helps them fight back. The Night's King takes his spear and attacks one of Dany's dragons, which is flying above him, and the dragon falls on the frozen lake, breaking the ice and sinks under the water. I think a lot of people aren't going to be happy when they see the death of a dragon. Fans have already been complaining about the mere appearance of direwolves. Anyway, Dany flies most of the team back to Eastwatch, but Jon is left behind. Apparently he fell into the lake and Dany assumes that he cannot be saved. However, Jon manages to swim back to the surface. He is badly injured, and the army of the dead is still not done with him. At this point, everyone has escaped. Jon alone continues to fight the horde. He is almost killed, but Benjen arrives and sends him off on his horse, while continuing to fight the horde. Jon watches as Benjen is swarmed by the undead as he rides, half dead, to safety. Benjen is already a half-white. He fought for the living, but now he is part of the army of the dead. Benjen sacrifices himself to save Jon. So he is the lone wolf whom Sansa mentioned in the second trailer. I've already made a video about this. The link is in the description, so you can go check it out. At the East Watch, we see Dany and the survivors. They're all safe now, but Dany is heartbroken that one of her dragons is dead. It's like she lost her son. Everyone decides to take the captured White to Dragon Pit in King's Landing as proof to convince Cersei and every noble house in the West to join them in the war against the army of the dead. The Hound is put in charge of bringing the White to the Dragon Pit. Thanks to Benjen, Jon makes it to Eastwatch. Dany, Jon, and others board a ship which is headed to King's Landing. Dany checks on Jon to know whether he is okay. And here comes the leaked conversation. "The dragons are my children, the only children I'll ever have. Do you understand that?" Daenerys raises her eye and looks directly at Jon. He nods. "We're going to destroy this Night's King and his army of dead men. We'll do it together. You have my word." Jon replies, "Thank you, Dany." She actually chuckles. She asks, "What made you call me like that?" Jon replies, "Apologies, Your Grace." To which Dany says, "I didn't mean like that." She wonders who was the last person to call her Dany. She says, "I'm not sure it was my brother, and I don't want you to be my brother." Jon is surprised that she is attracted to him. He says, "I would bend the knee if it weren't for these wounds." Dany asks, "What about those who swore allegiance to you?" And the scene reportedly ends. I wonder what Jon replied to her. The Northerners will never agree to accept Dany as their queen, or whether he actually thinks he can convince them to follow her. The final scene is at the north of the wall, where we see the army of the dead pulling the dragon from the lake using giant chains. The Night's King uses his magic to resurrect him. He is a reanimated dragon now, and he is part of the army of the dead. A lot of people don't believe in ice dragons, but the leaks have been accurate so far. We will see in episode 6 whether it's true or not. So that's all. Thanks for watching. Like and share this video, and don't forget to subscribe.